What's up, dudes, and the 2% of girls that watch this channel? We're finally doing it. We're putting the HKS Supercharger on our BRZ. We're doing a build series on this. So every Thursday from now on until this thing is finished, we're gonna put a new build video. So for that, this is gonna be a driftable street car. In case you weren't familiar, it's gonna be something we can drive to the track, drift it, and then drive it home. So nothing too crazy. Make sure it's reliable, but still really, really fun. We need a name for it. I want this build series, I want this car to have like some kind of name, not just like HKS Supercharger, streetable drift car. Like, it needs to be cool. So I want you guys to help out. Give this thing a name, whether it's, I'll choose which one's the best, and you'll win something. And let me get it. So if you comment with the best name for our BRZ Drift build that's gonna be supercharged, I'm gonna give you this D4S paint matched black rear duck. It's got a small duckbill rear wing spoiler, not really a wing, but it just 3Ms on the back. I'll even send you a fresh roll of 3M double-sided tape. And yeah, so I'm gonna choose it based on, like, maybe it's the funniest, maybe it's the coolest, maybe get some most upvotes on the YouTube comments. So give your best guess, and if you win and like it, I'm gonna send you this here wang. All right, now the parts list on this thing is pretty vast. We got a lot of things coming to this. We're gonna do it in 3 stages. So first one, supercharger, all the supporting mods you need for that. The second stage is gonna be added more power by installing a smaller supercharger pulley, and then we're gonna have to add more fuel for that too. And then the third one is adding even more fuel, but E85 fuel, making even more power. So through those 3 different stages, we'll have different dyno numbers, and you can see the progression of adding parts and hopefully adding a lot more power as well. So for the stage 1, we obviously have the supercharger. Then we're going to be adding the Varus cam plate, because ours is leaking and this is going to fix it. It's a common problem. Yours might be leaking, so you might want to check. We got the Varus air oil separator, because ventilation is key, especially when running forced induction. We got the Jackson Racing dual cooler, so we get an oil cooler and a radiator all in one. Hopefully it'll keep this thing cool enough when we're going sideways. Going sideways, you don't get the best airflow as you would be going straight, obviously. We got our FTA6P factory headers, because more power and get rid of that torque dip, and it's still catted, so it's emissions friendly. See, it's like streetable. We're still keeping it streetable. Then we got the Grim Speed drop-in air filter, because the HKS Supercharger uses the factory airbox, so we're just gonna be adding a drop-in air filter. Hi, Hazel. Hello. Next, we got spark plugs, because maintenance, and then we're gonna be tuning this thing on EcuTech. We're not doing the open flash tablet like before, because it's just way easier to do it. Not way easier, but there's so much more potential and way more things in EcuTech. The limit is higher, or maybe limitless almost, with EcuTech. And we're gonna be doing data log street tuning. So we're not gonna be taking it to the dyno, because not everybody has access to the dyno. We wanna show how you would actually tune it, working back and forth with a remote tuner. So that's how we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna do an Omni 3-bar map sensor, so we can run higher boost. And then we're doing the 2017 and newer red intake manifold, because it should add more power, should increase flow, and it just looks really cool. Now for stage 2, where we're adding more boost with that smaller supercharger pulley, we're gonna be doing the smaller supercharger pulley, obviously. We're gonna be adding a DW300 fuel pump, because we're gonna need to get more fuel with all that extra air we're getting from the more boost. And then we're gonna need to increase the fuel injectors. We're doing 1050s. And then we're gonna be doing the Varus fuel flap, that goes in the fuel tank, the little bucket in there. So when we're cornering, it doesn't get fuel starvation, so that flap's gonna keep it closed and make sure that we're getting all the fuel that we need. So stage 3 is where we go E85. So we're obviously gonna be adding E85. We're gonna do the OFT, the open flash tablet flex fuel kits, so we don't have to always run straight E85. We can have like a little mixture of, it'll just calculate it up for itself, so it's way easier to live with. And then we're probably going to be putting a multi-gauge, the P3 multi-gauge that goes in the vent. That's just a super sick vent gauge. It looks super cool, very clean. You don't have to have like pods on the pillars. It's very seamless, and it'll show us everything we need to know to monitor what's going on in the engine. So those are all the parts so far. We might add some. You'll know in the build series. This build series is going to be every Thursday, and let's go ahead and cut to the dyno footage where we get the base map of this thing making the stock power. All right, so we are at the dyno. We're gonna get a baseline for this thing. It's pretty much stock. I'm gonna guess it's gonna make like 160. I don't have much hope in this like stock engine. However, their stock car, their TRD, they made, is the 2017 or newer one, but they made like 200 with some fancy off-the-line ignition coils. So maybe we have more hope. But we're gonna get a baseline, and then periodically we're gonna add more parts and see how much more power we make. Kevin's guessing it's gonna make 153. I'm guessing it's 160. What do you think, Foster?
180.
180?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're optimistic. We'll see how it goes, and I think I'm gonna be right. All right, so Foster was right. He guessed 180. It made 180. We did, the first one was 177, second was 179, third was 179, and the last one was 180. So it got a little bit more power as it warmed up. That's pretty good. Like, I'm honestly surprised that this thing made 180 horsepower, which is sweet. So that means we're gonna make even more horsepower when we have the supercharger. So the final numbers of the dyno, we're making 180, 181 horsepower, and torque is sitting at 177 foot-pounds, so pretty good. They got a little bit higher, 1 horsepower, after we did a little bit of smoothing or like a correction. So those are the final numbers, 181 horsepower and 177 foot-pounds, which is great, like way more than I thought it was actually gonna make. So I'm actually surprised. With the supercharger, and like when we're actually done and we've done E85, I'm gonna guess, even though my guess was wrong before, I'm gonna guess 289 to the wheels. It's gonna be my guess. We'll see how close I get. Foster, do you have a guess?
275.
275. So now I'm the optimistic one. We'll see. We'll see in a few weeks.